Welcome back, you guys, to Chasing the Monster. I'm Luis Gomez, and today I'm with a special guest with Owen Brown.
What's
How you
going on,
doing?
everyone? How we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing amazing. A pretty good series. Unfortunately, we didn't get the sweep, but it's a three. It was a four-game series, so we normally are used to the three-game series. How you feeling?
I wish we could have pulled out the sweep. Obviously, there's no better feeling than actually going into a series and being able to sweep. But hey, it's a four-game series. You kind of came into it not exactly sure how it was going to go, especially with how hot the Yankees were going into that series, obviously playing in the Bronx. So, to come out of it, with a game and a half back and end it being a half game ahead, holding the top wild card spot, win the series 3 games to 1, you have to be feeling really good as a Red Sox fan. So, the vibes are high, and I just really hope that, a series like this could kind of build momentum, especially with, the Orioles series and the Pirates series coming up. Some really easy opponents. So, just kind of hoping that this is a way we can build the momentum for the rest of the season and just be able to punch our ticket into the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. Um, do you think this was like you remember before we stepped into the series, we were playing a little bit weird against the Orioles.
I
Uh,
do. Yeah.
of right when we stepped into the Bronx, we looked like completely like a different team. Um, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people were saying that this is the series that, oh, if we're going to the playoffs, this week is like we'll say it, and the Red Sox answered back, and were you expecting us to go 3-1 in the series?
It's tough to say because I feel like a big theme for this season has been like you can't have all the working parts going at once. When the pitching's going, the offense isn't. When the offense is going, the pitching isn't. So, it's kind of what, and we're kind of seeing that a little bit in that Baltimore series. Obviously, Bad's cold in the first game, and they were kind of going back and forth in the second game of that series, ended up tying it up, but just didn't really have that clutch gene to be able to kind of get over the hump and win that game. So, there was just a lot. I didn't know if they can all come together, but winning these 3 games, what it really taught me is just how this team is able to win different ways. They can go and battle back and forth. They can win a pitcher's duel, winning 1-0. They can outslug another team. They just do all the different things, and when it does all come together, obviously it is a perfect storm. So to be able to kind of see that on full display in this series. Wasn't exactly sure how I was gonna go, but it definitely exceeded my expectations for sure.
I had, I don't want to be negative on my team. This is what exactly I wanted to go at least I win at least 3 out of 4. But the Yankees were hot, and we were like a little bit struggling with scoring people, and we couldn't get that base hit to come through with when we needed it. We were struggling, so I was like, hopefully this doesn't affect us, and it kind of did in the beginning. In game one, we left a ton of people on base.
Oh my gosh. Looking back at that game, I mean, you had so many different factors. I think it was 14 walks in total. You had 4 errors. You had a pickoff. You had a balk. Like, you had all the things that shouldn't be happening in a baseball game all happen on full display amongst both teams. So it was definitely not a pretty win by any means, but. I mean, they were able to gut it out and get it done. Obviously, the cherry on top being Roman going upper deck in his first game at Yankee Stadium. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that as a 21-year-old, uh, fresh off signing your extension and making your statement in this Red Sox Yankees rivalry.
Oh yeah, that was a big game, and I'm not gonna lie. You normally don't win games like that when you're leaving a lot of runners on base. You're not cashing them in. You're doing errors, and like you normally don't win those type of games. You don't. It's like,
No, you don't. You really don't. It usually ends up going against you. So we kind of got lucky in that
yeah,
sense, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than it is to be good. So, at the end of the day, if that meant we were lucky, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, you could definitely tell things were going more, things were, we had more luck in this series. Everything was going our way. Even when we did something wrong and we were still like, we were still fine. But that, yeah, that game one was at least like we got lucky because the Yankees are also, they seem like they don't know what they're doing sometimes. They seem,
It was, yeah, it was super tough watching them. I mean, first of all, I mean, you look back at the series in general, your best player in Aaron Judge, I think he had only two hits combined the entire
he
series, if I'm not
disappeared.
mistaken. And on top of that, your defense is crumbling. I mean, you make three errors in one inning. I mean, that's a painful sight to begin with. But then at the same time, right, we're not taking advantage of that. They make three errors in an inning, and we only score one run on that when that happens. So,
Yeah.
like I said, it was kind of a mixture of both things, but kind of as you pointed out, things kind of ended up working out for us a lot better than it did for the Yankees. And, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than it is to actually be good. So in this case, Red Sox were very lucky. They got some big breaks in that game. But, I mean, we'll take it absolutely any day of the week.
No, yeah. So, I would take that game. Now, moving to game two, totally different type of game. It was a pitching duel, and it was an amazing performance by Brian Bayo and Max Fried. You gotta give it to him.
Oh, 100%. I
The
mean,
beast.
you got the Yankees number one going up against the Red Sox number two, And obviously, we've kind of seen it. And what really this series kind of showed is just how good Brian Bayo really is. Obviously there were some questions about, the FIP being a lot higher than the ERA, kind of getting seen as kind of like a lucky pitcher, if that makes sense. But, you go into a sellout crowd at Yankee Stadium, you're going up against Max Fried, who's their ace this year with Garrett Cole being out, and you toss seven shutout innings against one of the toughest offenses in all of baseball. I mean, you have to be you cannot make any mistakes. And he was just on the entire time, went from the beginning of his start to his last pitch. You could not have asked for a better chance. And like I said, all it took was two swings. With Connor Wong obviously hitting an RBI double to score the only run. But I mean, all it takes is just one little mistake, and it ended up costing the Yankees in that game. But I mean, you got to give credit to both teams. I mean, that was a pitcher's duel from the beginning until the very end.
Yeah, I feel like the Yankees were about to start something when Austin Wells got that base hit, and then Grissom gets
Mhm.
a hits a line drive right to shortstop, and that's throws to first, and that's a double
Oh,
play. That's
that was huge. Like
yeah,
that was
that
probably
definitely
the
got them.
play. That was the play of the game right there. I mean, credit to Trevor Story. He's really been. Maybe the metrics don't say it, but I think in terms of kind of his leadership vocally, I mean, he's the leader of that defense, for the infield at least. And I mean, that's just heads up baseball right there. He was able to snare the line drive, was able to see how far Wells was leading off first base, and was able to take advantage of it. And so, I mean. It's just the little things like that, and I pointed this out earlier, how the Red Sox can win different ways. And defense is a huge part of it when they're on. I mean, the left side, you got that left side of the infield with Trevor Story and Alex Bregman. And when the defense is on, and we saw it in game two. I mean, when the defense is on, very good things can happen. And so you got to give credit there. And then it also kind of turning back to Bayo a little bit too. Found out a stat in the live ball era, he has the lowest ERA amongst any pitcher with at least 10 starts against the Yankees. I mean, we talk about, guys like, David Ortiz, Rafael Devers being the New York Yankees killers. I think Brian Bale is really making a name for himself and entering that conversation on the pitching side of things.
Yeah, of course. Like another Dominican joining that crew, right? Like it's just I don't know what's going on. Like I don't know why he goes off like that, but you know I like that because it shows he's not scared of the moment. He stepped up and he shows that he proved that he's a an amazing pitcher. And I'm not gonna lie, little by little, I'm getting more comfortable with Brian Bayo, and I feel just like when Crochet is pitching, I feel really confident of winning. Now I'm feeling the same way with Brian Bayo.
100%. He's not going to be, he's not a strikeout pitcher. And, he's kind of he's been more of a guy that he wants the batters to get themselves out, pitching to contact and, just kind of hitting weak ground balls, lazy fly balls. That's kind of his game. And, he really put that on full display during the pitcher's duel with Max Fried. He wasn't getting too many strikeouts, but, the Yankees were putting the ball in play, but they were making weak offense
Yeah.
and getting themselves out. And that's something that has been on full display from Bayo this season, and it's just an amazing sight to see as
Okay.
with all the development he's been making from his rookie season up until I would say his breakout season this year.
Yeah, just Bayo. Bayo's a different type of pitcher. Crochet's a strikeout pitcher. Bayo is just feel like he's really similar to Freed because like with the ground balls and stuff, weak ground balls. But I feel like Bayo could get even better with because I feel like for him it's like a learning process and he's learning from one of the best pitchers like Garrett Crochet. So I feel like he could just get better and better and even hungrier.
100%. Obviously, one of his best pitches being the changeup. He has a great mentor from his home country, Dominican Republic, and another fellow Red Sox legend too, in Pedro Martinez, who had a pretty good changeup himself that got him into the Hall of Fame. So he has a great mentor there, and we kind of saw him. He kind of uses it as his strikeout pitch or kind of his wipe away pitch, and that was also on full display too. I can't remember off the top of my head how many strikeouts he had, but I mean, it was definitely on full display, and that pitch especially, that's kind of been his moneymaker when it comes to getting hitters out in his starts.
Yeah, yeah. That pitch is nasty. But let's move on to game three now. Game three, our ace was going to pitch for us. You
Unbelievable.
already know. You already know how he is. And I was really confident that he was gonna step up and get the job done. And of course he did.
100%. I know people were getting worried about is Crochet all right? He didn't have the start he wanted to when he pitched in Houston, but he obviously and even the best of the best are bound to have a bad start every now and again, and he proved these last two starts, obviously the one against Miami before that, and now this start against he just had against the Yankees. I mean,
Yeah.
7 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, only one run given up on a Giancarlo Stanton home run, 3 hits, only four batters reaching base the entire 7 innings he pitched. I mean, we talked about, Bayo being one of the best starters against the Yankees. I think sooner rather than later, we're going to see once Crochet kind of gets some more starts against the Yankees, I think we're going to very well see his name up there too.
Yeah. He really as soon as he started pitching against the Yankees, he right away showed he's one of the best in the game for a reason. Like he really, I'm really surprised with Crochet. I knew he was good, but I see him so different from the beginning of from opening day from now. I'm like now I will be scared to face Crochet if I'm hitting. I
100%.
would. He's so nasty. He has that fastball at 99 to 98, and you could tell that he could throw it harder. You could tell. I feel like he has more in him, but he doesn't need to be throwing it like that. But he gotta protect his arm. But he's really cutter, change up, and the sweeper. That's like you could tell he makes Aaron Judge dance in that box.
Oh,
Judge doesn't
100%.
look comfortable, and Judge is one of the best hitters in the league. And he looks silly. He,
No question. No question about it. And I think also too, I think one of the big reasons why, we're seeing this not even just against the Yankees, but even just this season in general, obviously when he came over in that trade from the White Sox, obviously we all knew the potential was there. We had seen it and his first season as a starter with the White Sox last year. So, coming to Boston, you knew the potential was there. It was just a matter of over a full season health wise, as long as he could stay healthy, like what are you gonna get out of him? Can he put it all together? And he's been able, as the season has gone on, he's been able to do that and then some. It just now it kind of just feels like he gets a minimum, he'll get you through at a minimum 6 innings with 8 strikeouts. That just feels like that's kind of like the baseline for him. And then anything after that, is just a bonus. But that's how good of a pitcher he is. For most pitchers, that could be a career start. But for a guy like Garrett Crochet, it's business as usual. And
Oh
the
yeah.
fact that he's able to just kind of handle one of the best offenses in all of baseball, really just speaks volume about what kind of talent the Red Sox have on their hands and has on their hands now for the next 6 years.
Yes, sir.
And
I'm really
also,
happy.
before we go to game four, too, also, I just want to make a quick shout out to Trevor Story as well. Obviously, one of the hearts and souls of this Red Sox team, having a big game against the Yankees, 3 for 5, a homer, a double, 3 runs batted in, and ultimately was the deciding factor initially on getting the win. Obviously, they had a 7-run ninth inning where they were just pounding every single mistake through the pitching, through the defense. Obviously, Volpe with a huge error that made its ways on social media against David Hamilton. But I mean, big shout out for Trevor Story having a huge game. Really just at least obviously, I can't really outside of that dismal May, he's been on it offensively, leads the Red Sox with 82 runs batted in, hitting in that 4 to 5 hole, he has the job of driving in runs and maybe the numbers and the metrics don't show it. But, I think in terms of if you're watching this team on a day-to-day basis, just seeing the impact he's been having on the offensive side and the defensive side, you can't really speak enough volume about how much he's meant to this team this season.
No, yeah, and even defensively, I remember last year we didn't have a shortstop, and it was just like errors, and at some point it's so different. Even you feel more comfortable with Story at shortstop, even if he's struggling at the offense, but it's different. You remember around May, people wanted him DFA'd.
Exactly.
You
I mean,
imagine?
it was only his second month playing I mean, he only played 1 month in 2023. He only played about a month in 2024,
Yeah.
obviously dealing with different variety of different injuries. So obviously there was going to be an adjustment period for sure, but I mean, if you take away that month of May, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball, and we see why, I mean, whenever they need a big hit, I feel like he just always finds a way to come up with it. Obviously, he has 2 walk-offs this season. He just always finds a way, and that's
Yeah.
something that, I think as one of the veterans of this team, a lot of the young guys kind of look up to. And kind of as you mentioned, shortstop being the heart of the infield defense. When he's going, the rest of the infield defense is going too. And I think that's also, again, it speaks volume about his ability to be able to lead on and off the field for this team.
Yeah, I feel really comfortable with him and Bregman on the left side. Oh my God. Compared to last year, Devers at third, and it will be sometimes
Sadon a little bit at short, and then you had just different guys rotating in
David
and out.
Hamilton. It was just, it was a lot of people playing shortstop last year, so you never know. It was a little bit like weird. You will be like, oh my God, hopefully he makes the catch. Hopefully he makes the throw, like a good throw. And it feels different. It feels like, okay, Story got it. If he does an error, it's okay. We're humans. It's part of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, and I
Like,
mean they were trying to find that defensive identity early on. Obviously, they did struggle defensively mightily in the month of April, but they kind of learned each other. They were able to get settled in. And, I would say probably from even throughout the highs and lows of the season, I feel like the defense for the most part has been a constant once you kind of got past that first month. And, we're really seeing it on full display now. And just, just the heads up play. We talked about, in the second game, him catching that line drive, throwing a first for the double play. Just the little things like that, the intangibles that could make or break a game. And I feel like more times than not, the Red Sox are on like the make end of things.
Yeah, like you said, you definitely said it. We were trying to see who we are as a team. Feels like in spring we were such a different team, and it feels like it's been a different type of. It's been like we're in a different year because we had Devers, we don't have him anymore. We have like you know what I mean. Devers
Oh,
was
for
still
sure. The vibes just feel different. And
different. Yeah,
really, and I'm not saying that Rafael Devers was or wasn't the problem. Obviously, everyone has their a lot of
yeah,
Red Sox fans have varying opinions on that, but what is imminent is that when he left for San Francisco, the whole vibe of the season just changed. The team itself felt different. And I just think like the little things, I don't know if he was the reason why this happened, but it just you can admit too, I feel like it's just a whole ever since that trade went down, it just feels like a whole different team we're looking at. And even just like in the Yankee series, you're going against your biggest rivals. You could make or break your season depending on how you did in this series. And they were playing together, they were having fun. They never, even though they did lose tonight, but it felt like they were just, you never felt like they were going to be out of the game, even tonight at some points. Like you didn't once he like Nathaniel Lau got, and we'll talk about it, the Nathaniel Lau getting that 2-run single, it felt like we were back for a tough period of time. It's just like the vibes of this team just feels so different. And as a Sox fan, you want to have a watchable team. I feel like the last few years it hasn't been that way. But like I feel so dialed in and want to come and go and watch Red Sox games each and every night. Just being excited about just what there is to come, just because of just the overall vibes that are kind of going on with both the team itself and its fan base on top of that.
yeah, yeah. It feels different. Everything's going so well for in Boston for Red Sox fans. Hopefully it keeps being like that. From what it seems like, there's going to be playoff games in Fenway this year. That's what it looks like. So hopefully it be like that. But let's keep, hopefully we could keep it rolling and we could stay nice. We could stay healthy, and that's what matters. Talking about well, but let's talk about Nathaniel. Let's talk about him.
Unbelievable.
What a pickup! That
Serious.
we literally got him for free.
It's so funny because like they were when Costas went down, he was one of the first names the Sox were linked to. This was back in May. There were rumors that they talked to the Nationals at the trade deadline about him. And as soon as and obviously the deal didn't go down then, but as soon as he got released, the very first team that came up was the Red Sox. And as soon as he got released, within I think it was 2 days, he got signed. And it feels like a whole different player we're watching. We're seeing the Nathaniel Lowe of old when he's with the Texas Rangers. Obviously, he was having a dismal year with the Nationals, but it just I don't know how, but it just feels like he's just been the clutchest player on the team ever since he stepped foot and had his first step at. He's just doing like whenever they need runs to score. It just so happens like there's runners on, I feel like every single time for him, and he's gonna get a hit, whether it's a blooper, whether it's in the gap, whether it's over the fence, and it's
Yeah,
only a few game sample. I think he's only played in 5 or 6 games with the Red Sox so far, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
He
But
comes through in the pinch hit moments.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Comes up today, 2-run single. I mean, just the different things like that, I think it really goes a long way. And, I think having, a steady presence now at first base, I've always been a firm believer that if you're a playoff team, you should not have a platoon at a certain position. You need to have a core starting nine guys that when you're going into the playoffs, these are your nine guys that are gonna start more times than not. Obviously, you might have a guy fill in here and there, but more times than not, you're going to have these nine guys rolling. And Nathaniel Lau is really establishing himself now is when we're going into the playoffs, he's going to be our starting first baseman, regardless if there's a righty or a lefty on the mound. Because he's just showing time in and time out again that when you need the big hit, he's going to come through with it some way, somehow.
yeah. I feel like we were struggling and we got him in the at the perfect moment. That's how you know things are going that well for us. We got him. We were struggling, and we got him in the perfect moment. And look how clutch he's been recently. Like we got him in the perfect moment. This series against the Yankees, he came in clutch.
I mean, he had the go-ahead two-run double or the go-ahead RBI double
Yeah,
in game one. Obviously he had the two RBI pinch hit single today. They didn't win, but
and for
I
game
mean,
two as
still,
well. Game two, here comes Lau, hits a double.
it's a double, and then
Next at
Connor Wong
bat,
come
Connor one brings him in. Like
exactly.
that's how you know we got him in the perfect timing, and things are looking good for us. Things like everything we do right now, even when we're not supposed to, is like boom. We're taking the W,
Oh,
and
100.
I love that. I love to see that because that's how you start things. And
And I think something that's underrated about his signing too is that, and obviously Alex Bregman also is in this company as well, but he's
yeah,
won a World Series. So he knows exactly what it takes to go, especially with the team he did it with, the Texas Rangers, who were, in my opinion, considered an underdog when they won that World Series back in 2023. But he's been there and he's done that. And I think having him on the team,
yeah,
knowing what it takes to get to the pinnacle, I think it's going to
yeah,
come up very huge, especially with how young our team is. When we make the playoffs, it's not even if when we make the playoffs.
yes, sir.
There's a lot of guys that are going to be tasting playoff baseball for the first time. Obviously, Roman Anthony, Cedar Rafaela, William
Jared Durant.
Abreu.
Oh, almost half of the lineup.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of them are going to be inexperienced, and that's why the guys like Alex Bregman, Trevor Story, he's had a little bit of playoff experience with Colorado. And now you can add Nathaniel Lau to that list. So many of these guys have been in that situation. Even Walker Buehler, too, for as much as he struggled. They have guys who have been there and done that before. In recently, Astros won 22, Rangers won 23, Dodgers won 24. They have guys from all three of those teams, you know. So they know what it takes to kind of get to the pinnacle. And
Yeah,
when playoff baseball arrives back in Boston, they're going to be that calming presence that kind of keeps the rest of the lineup and the rotation, pitching staff in line, and just understanding like what the task is at hand. I think that's going to come up a lot. It's going to be more helpful in October than I think people realize.
yeah, that's true. Um, that's true, and I feel like we're gonna be fine because we're a young team and we're hungry. It's a young team that is hungry. You could tell that they want to win and they want to make it to the playoffs. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I know we're gonna make it, but when we make it, we're that team that people are probably gonna see us as the underdogs because we're a young team, of course, but it doesn't matter where people put us. What matters is what we do in the field.
Exactly.
The baseball comes in the box, and whoever hits it better, whoever pitched better, that's how you win. It's not about, this is where you build your moment. And this is when you show what you're made of. And I feel like this team has what it takes.
100%. I couldn't agree more on that. And I just want to turn it quickly back because obviously we got through the first three games of the series. Want to just quickly touch up on game four. Obviously, the game in the series that we probably want to forget about. Dustin May having troubles giving up the long ball, gave up two home runs to Trent Grisham, gave up a home run to Jazz Chisholm as well. And then and then obviously Walker Buehler making his first appearance out of the bullpen, gives up another home run to Jazz Chisholm. So Chisholm, Grisham, each having two homers in this game. Offense, just really no answers whatsoever. Obviously, one in with the bases loaded. Nathaniel Lau pinch hits. What does he do? Gets another hit, two RBI single. Only two runs that are able to come across to score. So, it was just kind of unfortunately, it was just the combination, as I said, when all the pieces aren't clicking together of, you
Yeah.
had a bad day
Yeah,
offensively.
that's
You didn't
part of
have great start.
baseball.
It is in 100%. Games like this happen, and like I said, it would have been nice to get the sweep, but
Yeah.
like I said, in a series in which the Yankees are hot, you're playing the Bronx. You're playing the most hated rival, and this series can make or break your season. Because I mean, imagine if they had gotten swept, they would have been 5.5 games back. So I mean, that's how much the stakes were at hand with this series. So to come in and take three out of one, I hope this is a good confidence booster. And I think it's especially with going into this Baltimore series as well, where, they had a 2-game series, got swept by both, swept in the 2 games,
Yeah, we got.
going into a Baltimore series, knowing that, you're facing weaker competition. You just went up against one of the toughest teams in baseball and basically won the series like it was a cakewalk. So, having that confidence to know you can take on teams that don't have those expectations, the Orioles, the Pirates,
Nah, you.
Diamondbacks, the Athletics, teams like that, I think that's what the Red Sox needed to know that they are able to take care of the tough teams. And so I think they should know that they can come in and
Yeah,
take care of beating those sub 500 teams.
yeah. We should definitely take care. I mean, take advantage of that. That they're a bad team, and and get those W's because this wild card thing is getting a little bit. It's like it's really tight right now. It's really tight. We should definitely try to take advantage of it. Like if we could sweep them, let's sweep them. You got me? Let,
100%.
let's not let's not try to sweep them. Let's go for it. You got me? Let's not play around.
Yeah, I
Right
think the
now
goal
we're
really should just be you don't need to sweep. You just have to win the series.
yeah,
Just if you're winning the series, your record, you're gonna be getting more and more games over 500. It's
yeah,
just a matter of just you just have to go in and think take 2 out of 3 or if it's a 4-game series like
yeah,
this
that's
ball the
true.
Orioles won, take 3 out of 4. Just win the series. If you win the series, the wins are gonna add up. You're gonna keep getting higher and higher above 500, and eventually you're gonna be able to lock your spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, and if they want to sweep, then I will
I
take it.
mean,
Well, I
hey,
will
be my
take it.
guest, absolutely.
I will take it as well. But it's just, I feel like we should just focus on. Let's not focus on the future. Let's focus on today. If we gotta face the Orioles today, let's face let's focus on this game, and let's win this game. And then tomorrow will come, and let's focus on tomorrow when it comes. So let's focus on game by game, and I feel like that's how they should think because we gotta win this one first. We gotta win today, and tomorrow will come. Will be for tomorrow. But yeah,
Exactly. And so for this game, we got for this series, we got they're gonna go with the basically a bullpen I think game tomorrow. Brandon Bernardino starting. Chances are Richard Fitz is probably going to be pitching multiple innings out of the bullpen. I think that's pretty much expected at this point. Then you got Lucas Giolito going on Tuesday. Wednesday, I believe it would be Brian Bayo, and then I think Thursday would be Garrett Crochet. So, you got basically a bullpen game that you got, and basically you have in no chronological order, but you basically have your 1, 2, 3 guys going. So, and again, going against the Orioles offense, what are your thoughts kind of going into this series?
they should be a little bit mad from what happened last Monday and Tuesday. They should definitely look for some revenge, especially right now from taking 3 out of 4 from the Yankees. So this is the perfect moment to keep building the momentum and at least have some revenge on them from that because that was that was those 2 games were kind of like were they really hurt me at least as the fan base as well. But that those 2 games were tough, and we should definitely try to destroy them. At least in that's how I feel about it because it wasn't it wasn't fun that Monday
No.
Tuesday series, and I know that we're a better team, and because we're a better team, I feel like we should show them right away who's boss.
I agree. I do agree 100%. I mean, they won a series early against them earlier in the season. They've definitely had their struggles against the Orioles this season, and
Yeah,
they just have to have the mindset. They know that we know that as fans, we know they're the better team. If you look at their rosters on paper, everyone knows, the Red Sox are the better team. And I think just even the Red Sox just need to know, I mean, they're destroying the Yankees, They've won series against some of the best teams in baseballs. They've been able to do that. And, going against a team like the Orioles, who are last place in the AL East, not having the year that they expected to have, you know, going to that series, you're the better team, and you just got to go out there and play like it. And if you do that, you're gonna win the series, in my opinion. I
Yeah,
really do believe that.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. We just beat one of the best teams in baseball right now. So why wouldn't we beat the Orioles? Makes no
Like,
makes no sense. It had, you know what I mean? It has to, if you put it to make sense, then the Orioles are going to be an easier task. But baseball is crazy sometimes. But we should definitely go. We should definitely try to win the series. That's what matters, especially at this point. Yeah. So
yeah,
well,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah. What's your prediction for this series?
You know what? I'm gonna say the same thing. That just like the repeat of the New York series, I'm gonna say 3-1. I think we're gonna go win the series 3 games to 1.
Same. I'm not gonna push this to oh four. Are we gonna win all four? 3-1. Um, why wouldn't? Why wouldn't? Why wouldn't we win 3 out of 4? We're we're the
I
Red
don't
Sox. We're a hot team right now.
exactly. I think maybe it'll be a close game. Maybe it's just we're gonna have an off game, but I think something's gonna get us in the series. What it is, that remains to be seen. But I think as long as we're firing on all cylinders, you got your one, your two, and your three going in this series. I think that we got a really good chance.
Yeah, we do definitely. So let's hope everything goes well for us, and let's keep our fingers crossed. Well, guys, this is it. Um, this don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments, and you already know, go Red Sox, and see you on the next time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Can't wait for more, man. Let's go Sox, baby.
Peace.